What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Lineup NBA DFS podcast and live stream recording here for Wednesday's 12-game main slate. James, we had the 2-game opener on Tuesday. It's been a rather successful night so far for us. Recording this right before the tip-off of the Warriors-Lakers game, but underdog prize picks off to a great start. Some of our early DFS lineups there looking pretty good. We'll see if we can close those out with a victory, but wasting no time giving us a full slate here on a Wednesday. Big 12 games.
Yeah, it feels good. You'll hear us talk a lot during the year about our wheelhouse, and it's typically single digits. I would say 6 to 9 nice games is right in our wheelhouse, but it's just wonderful to have so many teams back on the floor. After Wednesday, we'll have 28 of the 30 teams have played at least one game. We have some really advantageous matchups, a lot of spots that we can look to and refer to last year, teams that have a lot of pieces like they did last year, and teams that played up in pace, teams that played down in pace. So great to have a big slate following the small slate. Now, the 6 to 9 is generally our wheelhouse. Every slate's going to be our wheelhouse this year, okay? Every single slate is our wheelhouse slate this year. No more 6 to 9, just every slate. That's the wheelhouse.
Yes,
slate.
Ideally we'll have success there on every slate that we got going on for sure. Listen, everybody else, there's going to be some adjustments at times to how these, we got to figure out with these new rotations, these new players. We got a lot of stars sort of joining together and maybe combinations that it's not really clear how these guys are going to work well or not work well together. Now, we've had some preseason action, obviously, that we can garner a little information off of. But, you know, for example, Trae Young, we're so used to rock and rolling Trae Young out there. Well, now he's got DeJounte Murray next to him, right? And who's the guard? Who's the ball handler? Who's the scorer? Like how we used to love DeJounte Murray because he was that triple-double threat with defensive stats. Is he going to be that player? Trae Young was a double-digit assist guy. So, sure, those two guys could certainly just play off one another and be fine. But, you know, there's certainly some inherited risk involved when sort of playing in some of these early situations. So because we have 12 games, we'll just jump into it. We're looking at the point guard spot. We'll look at DraftKings here. We'll reference FanDuel for certain price points where necessary. Obviously, all of our NBA DFS coverage is for DraftKings and FanDuel, but we know a lot of you play over on DraftKings. So for the sake of the live stream and podcast, we're going to be reviewing majority of DraftKings pricing here. But if you have any questions for FanDuel, always get into our Discord, ask us. We're certainly there to help you guys out. James and I play on FanDuel. We play on DraftKings. We play them all. So we're not really partial one way or the other. It's just easier for the stream and the podcast to look at DraftKings for the sake. So point guard spot. Luka Doncic is your top price point guard. He's at $10,200. Matchup against Phoenix. John Morant is at $9,900. He's at home against the Knicks. Kyrie Irving is on the slate. There's no restrictions in New York anymore. $9,700. For Kyrie Irving home against the Pelicans there. For kind of the cap it at the top 4 there, or top 3 guys. How are you doing them?
I mean, Luka is a different animal, and we saw that last year in the playoff series. Not too long ago, it looked like Phoenix was going to dominate Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks in their playoff series, up 2-0. We saw Luka basically cut that promo in the tunnel where he was talking smack, and then they came out and smacked Phoenix 4 to the next 5 games and knocked the 1 seed out nice and early. So even though Phoenix is a good defensive unit, Luka Doncic is just unflappable, just unstoppable in every facet of the game. 8 meetings with Phoenix last year, 59 fantasy points per game for Luka. No problem paying 10-2. It's only a matter of time before he's 11K regularly, 12K regularly. So love Luka, love Ja here. Second
highest price guy on the slate, only to Jokic here on this 12 gamer.
We're gonna hear that a lot, right? Both those guys are gonna be 1 and 2 most nights, with Giannis mixing in there as well. He was playing full minutes in preseason, and he looked great in preseason too, picking up right where he left off last year. 9,900, Jalen Brunson, little undersized. I think there's a chance to really look at Morant, and then Kyrie. New Orleans was an up-tempo team last year, and Zion I don't think is going to really affect that. Actually, let me backtrack. New Orleans 21st in pace last year. I lied. But they weren't very good defensively. Right. other than Herb Jones is definitely a guy, but he's not going to be guarding Kyrie Irving here. He's going to have the Kevin Durant assignment. So if you want to believe in the Herb Jones defending Durant, that's going to be tough. Well, you know what? Feast your eyes on Kyrie Irving 97. This could be a Kyrie night right off the bat.
Could be, for sure. I definitely, obviously, they're close together. You know, Luka, because there's no real separation, right? It's not like Luka is $10,000 more expensive than Ja here. Right. Like, feels like where a lot of people would be going to that Doncic price tag. Bradley Beal's at $9,600. Trae Young, as we mentioned, is at $95. Dame Lillard's at $94. DeJounte is at 92, rounds out that the bottom half of the 9K range. Bradley Beal against a Pacers team that is rebuilding. That's kind of interesting. Obviously, we know the Wizards themselves are a team on the mend, and if Bradley Beal is going to be playing a lot of minutes, I know Porzingis and Kuzma are there, and those guys really played well last year as well. It's not just totally the Bradley Beal show, but, you know, how are you viewing the bottom half of that 9K range?
Yeah, so I think Washington has one of the better matchups on the board. Indiana's going to be a cellar dweller. They were 28th in defensive rating last year. It's not like they improved any. They have very foul-happy interior players. I guess Miles Turner will improve that a little bit based on his shot blocking, but still not a good team overall. I'm trying to pull up the odds here. 227.5 game total in this game. Washington 2-point favorite. So yeah, I like Beal. I think that you and I generally don't love 9,600. Don't love it here. I think Trae Young is in a great spot against Houston. Yeah. Dame looked really good in the preseason too, and he played a lot of minutes. So 9,400 against a Kings team that, yeah, they have Davion Mitchell, but like, how many minutes is Davion Mitchell going to play this year? I guess he could play a little more if Kevin Porter doesn't end up playing. I know Kevin Porter is listed as questionable, but De'Aaron Fox
defense,
yeah, it's De'Aaron Fox. So I think Dame is in a really good spot, and DeJounte also in a good spot. Trae, I think you put Trae and DeJounte on the same tier here because Trae might go for 30, but Murray might have 20 and 10, right? And so I think they're both kind of solid plays because Houston is going to be they're going to play really fast, and it's going to be really fun to use opposing anything against, really.
Yep, I agree with you. For in the under 9K range, SGA expect to be a full go here against Minnesota after sitting out most of the preseason there. You have De'Aaron Fox in that opposite side of the Portland matchup. Fred VanVleet gets a tough Cleveland spot. Not really sure we want to attack that spot early on. And then Jamal Murray in that 7K range at $7,700. You know, how quickly Utah isn't going to be the Utah that they've been before. Defensively, no Gobert. No Mitchell anymore. No, who's the forward that they had there? Oh, no Royce O'Neal anymore, right? Like, guys that were good defensively before them. And Jokic is not, was labored a little bit during the preseason with the wrist injury there. So what are your thoughts on this, like, upper mid-range of point guards?
SGA, like, in theory, good matchup, but you're not getting to the rim against Gobert and Towns. Right. Donnie Mitch, we don't know what to think there. VanVleet's going to play a whole bunch of minutes. I mean, Nick Nurse has made that abundantly clear as of last year. He's Thibodeau Jr., right? 40 minutes, but it is a tough spot. And I think Murray's going to be limited in some fashion. So I'm not going to probably go there 77. If you want, if we get word that there's going to be like no cap or anything, then, you know, maybe. But if there's like any type of limitations, 25 minutes or so, I'm probably out.
Yeah, that's fine. Again, I look at this mid-tier, and outside of Fox, I'm not really jumping at too much. I don't think the 7K and under tier. I think Halliburton at 7,200 should be probably a pretty popular play. What are your thoughts on Garland going now with Donovan Mitchell next to him?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think it's a fine spot. I think there could be a lot of points in this game. I mean, this is a guy at the end of the year. What were we paying? 9K to almost 10K, and he was consistently putting up numbers. It is obviously worth noting that we're going to have to deal with the fact that Donovan Mitchell's there, but 7,100 is a really good price, man. So tournaments, I mean,
both of those guys are great players. So
they're great players.
And we saw Garland with just a boatload of assists last year. So Mitchell can be the scorer, and Garland can give you 12, 13 assists. So
and who's to say they both can't average 20 points a game? I mean, we just saw tonight, and obviously different scenario because we're talking about the best duo in the league, but Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both had 35 points.
Right.
So there is coexisting to be had. Evan Mobley still developing in terms of like his offensive skills. We know Jared Allen's not like offensive minded necessarily. Darius Garland can still be like a 20 and 10 guy. 7,100 is too cheap.
Yep, I agree with you there. Ben Simmons, what are we doing with him? How are we? $7,000. We know what Ben Simmons can be. Healthy. Now he's point guard, small forward on DraftKings. I don't know what his FanDuel positional eligibility is going to look like yet. If you got that, you can let everybody know.
Point guard only $7,600.
He is what?
Point guard only.
Okay.
$7,600.
I mean, I like the price. I do. Right? Like Ben Simmons of old. Listen, he's not going to score more than 10 points a game, I don't think. They're not going to ask him to do that. They don't need him to do that. But steals, blocks, rebounds.
You know who he's guarding here, right?
Probably.
I think he's going to guard Zion.
You think he's on Zion?
I think it's Zion or it's Ingram. It's one of the two.
I think it's Ingram.
I mean, Durant is going to guard one, and Simmons is going to guard the other, I think.
Yeah, I feel like Durant's probably going to be on
Zion?
Zion there. I mean,
I don't know.
That might make McCollum a full send then if he's got Kyrie on him all game, right?
Yep. Sure. $6,900 right on cue. Point guard only, by the way.
Point guard only. Yep. Point guard only, CJ. It's not bad. Simmons is a guy, if I'm making a couple lineups tomorrow, I want an exposure to. So
here's the thing. I think Cade 7K against Orlando is like really appealing because we know that this is going to run through Cade. McCollum 69, nice. Dude, Kevin Porter 65 coming off the $82 million contract he just got. It's a good tier. It's like a really good point guard tier right here between Simmons to Kevin Porter. I think that you can make a case for all of them.
Yep, 100%. We're definitely big on Kevin Porter guys. So, and then Brunson got the bag too.
And Brunson got the bag for sure.
We like Cade, but I don't know if I want to pay Cade price yet. I don't know if I want to.
I do.
My problem is that in the preseason games, and I get it's preseason, but Jaden Ivey looked really good.
Jaden Ivey did look really good. But again, I don't know if Sadiq Bey is ever going to take that next step.
Sure.
There's no Jeremy Grant. Their front court isn't really offensive minded. So I think they could I think it's another situation where they can coexist. Okay. And I think Cade being the first overall pick last year and what we saw at the end of last year, I think it's his team that Jaden Ivey's coming into.
Okay. I can get behind that then. 7K though. I mean, if you're in that range, where does he rank from the Halliburton, Garland? I mean, we didn't even talk Giddey. I'm a big Giddey guy. He was shooting the ball a lot better during the preseason. Obviously, he famously killed me on a prize pick play that I did where he went 4 from 8 from 3, but like overall during the preseason, he shot the ball really well and he gave you his stat stuffing. So now, as you brought in, is he going to be able to score against Gobert and Towns? Is he going to be able to get to the rim? Is he going to be forced into taking jump shots? Which isn't really what his skill set is yet. So, but Paul, Giddey, Halliburton, Garland, Simmons, Cunningham, McCollum, Porter. Now that's 74 and under. There's a lot of great plays here. Where does Cunningham rank for you in that group?
I mean, so like Halliburton's obviously a great play. I think he's going to be a fantasy gold mine all year long. Just we know how good he is scoring, and we know how good he is just making people around him better as well. I would say Halliburton's number 1. I would say Cade's number 2 for me. I do the matchup against Orlando. Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton. Those are like the guard matchups he's going to have. Now, they're going to run a big lineup, and so that could be the concern. But getting to the basket could be a little dicey here. But I think he's second. Behind Halliburton for me. I like Kevin Porter. I like that matchup. In Atlanta, I think there's going to be a lot of points, a lot of high octane offense there. I bet you that's 232.5. That is the highest number on the board. Okay. In the Atlanta game.
Yeah, it's gonna be stackable on 12 games for sure.
And then I like McCollum if you think Durant and Simmons can pose problems to Zion and Ingram.
Right. A little bit lower to 6K and under. I guess Clarkson. Well, what does Utah look like now with nobody there? It could be a Jordan Clarkson show. They've played around with different rotations. I still think Clarkson's actually starting for them, though. They've played like Beasley at shooting guard. They still start Conley there. Like, they've messed around with who the guy ends up being. But, Clarkson at 62 is kind of interesting. Sexton is the other one, right? They just kind of move Sexton around into the lineup. He's at 59. Like, somebody has to score for Utah, I think. So either of those two, I think, are in play. Who's starting for Charlotte?
with LaMelo out.
Rozier.
I assume they're just going to have Rozier.
Because, I mean, DraftKings has Dennis Smith Jr. at 5,300, right?
Yeah, so I think what probably happens is Rozier starts, and then Dennis Smith is their backup, and then you maybe get like a big lineup where you run Hayward and Oubre.
Yeah, so I think that's probably what their starting lineup is probably, right? Rozier, Oubre, Hayward, Washington, and
Bumdog.
Yeah, whoever they're sent. Well, they have the rookie too, right? Is he starting?
I think they're gonna start Plumdog.
Okay.
I think Mark Williams is later in the year.
Developing, yeah.
Yeah, it's later in the year.
So something interesting to watch there then. That Charlotte San Antonio is not going to be a defensive mastermind, right?
Not going to be a great basketball game in general.
No, not really. Where's Trey Jones? Do we pass him yet?
No.
$4,200 Trey Jones. You see the starting point guard for San Antonio?
Yeah.
Right?
Like projected to be the starting point guard, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, right? So $4,200 between him and I guess Josh Primo could be getting some additional run at that guard spot for them. I mean,
Primo's slated to be the backup. They have Blake Wesley is projected to be their second string point guard.
Okay,
I don't think I'd be playing Blake Wesley in this slate, but I also don't hate your Trey Jones call because I do think Trey Jones is their definite starting point guard. I think there's a reason he's there. I think they're going to stink. I think they want to stink.
I have a Trey Jones autographed rookie card. So
you really want that to come through?
Yeah. Big time.
You really want that to come
big time. Needed to come through for the 1 year that maybe he'll be viable in any fantasy format. So yeah, listen, $4,200 for a big slate like this, looking for some value. That's going to play. What do we think about Malik Monk this year at $4,200? I know you mentioned Davion, they have Hoarder, but Monk's a bucket.
Yeah, I think Monk is better suited if I know they ruled out Keegan Murray, so that's like depth gone from the wing for Monk. Yeah. I think I would consider Monk if there's no Hoarder. If Hoarder plays, I'm probably out.
Okay, let's go on over to shooting guard unless you have anybody else.
I'm just scooting through the position just to make sure there's nothing that we missed because I feel like they have like kind of.
Oh, we talk about it all the time. Like early season NBA DFS, there's a lot of mispriced guys that you can sort of try and take advantage of at times. Like today, Malcolm Brogdon being $4,900, like that was the spot. So I'm sure we'll come across somebody that is like Trey Jones, like we said. Like if Trey Jones is the starting point guard for this team, it's not a $4,200 point guard, right? So yeah, something like that in a matchup could certainly pop a little bit. At the shooting guard position, we've talked a lot about these guys already. Beal and Murray, dual position eligibility. Devin Booker, we didn't discuss. He's $8,900, a little bit too expensive for me. Donovan Mitchell against Toronto. Again, how does he play with Cleveland? I think he's okay, but still $8,500. We didn't really like playing that when he was in Utah.
Yep.
So I don't know if we're going to pay that while he's with Toronto. Anthony Edwards is at $8,400 going up against the Thunder. Zach LaVine is $8,200 against Miami. Ingram is $7,300 against Brooklyn, and Rozier is $7,300 against San Antonio.
Yeah, so I like Beal. I guess I'm coming around a little bit more on Beal, do that total. We talked about Murray. I'm with you on Booker. I'm okay with going Donnie Mitch. Edwards is interesting. I think it's a really good matchup for him. It's going to be a really good matchup for anybody against OKC. They do have Lou Dort, so I guess that could pose issues, right? Lou Dort is healthy coming into the year. So I don't think you need to go there because I think ultimately, like, you can go Rozier 7,300 with no LaMelo. That's going to be just a monster spot for him. I mean, not only is LaMelo off the floor, we know Miles Bridges is not on this team anyway. So when you look at the landscape of this team, when you take Bridges and like LaMelo off the floor, it's Terry Rozier and that's everybody else. Like I know Gordon Hayward can be good, and I know Kelly Oubre can be good at times, but they were the fourth and fifth best players on this team last year. So I think Terry Rozier at 73 really stands out to me. And you mentioned it just 10 seconds ago. This game is not really going to be all that defensive oriented. Right. I just looked Rozier with LaMelo and Bridges off the floor, 25.5% usage rate, 1.09 fantasy points.
Yeah, and what we'll discuss here, let's see what it is. Is he shooting guard, shooting small forward, power forward? When we get to Oubre pops off the charts there a little bit as well. So a lot to talk about. I do that spot for Rozier there as well. Going down a little bit more, we talked about Jaden Ivey. Again, he looked really good during the preseason.
Yep.
$6,400. We talk about it a lot, and generally it happens a little bit later in the season, I think, once we get a feel for it, but we hammer this. This player will not be this cheap again. Get him on your lineups now. Play him while you can. I'm not sure how quickly DraftKings will adjust to Jaden Ivey, but if Jaden Ivey plays in the early on in the season the way he played during the preseason at times, and Orlando's a good kickstarter to that, 6,200 is a really good number for him.
See, this is like my thing though. Like Cade was only 7K.
Sure.
With a year under his belt, and he looked amazing to end the year. He looked every bit the part other than the foul trouble that he needs to figure out. But we've seen that endlessly. Look what happens when Jokic figured it out. Like I think Jaden Ivey is going to be great, and I think him and Cade can be really good for really long. But like going into the first game, it doesn't feel like to me that they're like a $600 difference player at this point. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe that comes back to bite me and he is the bee's knees. But I don't know, man. I'd rather just find 600 to get to Cade if I'm playing one of the two. But I do acknowledge Jaden Ivey's going to be great, and I think he's going to be good off the bat. But 6,400, I personally am willing to pass on.
Okay. I guess other guys in this range then, if we're looking at under 6K, this is where I don't really love this tier. We talked about Sexton a little bit already. Hero against Chicago, but everybody's there for Miami. Jalen Suggs, we mentioned slightly. He's going to be actually good to go here against Detroit. He looked good at times. Where are you targeting when it comes to this like mid 5K range for shooting guard?
I don't know, man. I'm with you. I don't necessarily love it either. Tyler Hero could be interesting. He just got the bag. I think Gary Trent's...
Jalen Green at 54, right?
Yeah, I think Trent's too expensive. Sexton, I think, is going to come off the bench. Simons is now playing alongside Lillard. How is that going to play itself out? Suggs, you mentioned, I think is fine, but, Paolo's going to be the number one option there. Is Suggs number 2? Is he number 3? Cole Anthony, we know, is a wild child. I guess we could maybe circle back to Desmond Bane, John, 6,100. Dylan Brooks, doubtful to play. So maybe Desmond Bane, no Jaren Jackson either. Right. So their second and third scores, I guess their third and fourth scores, because Bane did average 18 a game. Maybe the answer is Desmond Bane, 61, in not the best spot, because RJ Barrett, lengthy defender, could give people problems, but I do kind of like Bane without Jaren Jackson and Dylan Brooks in this lineup.
Yeah, I don't mind it either. Under that range here, we have Ayo, obviously starting at point guard. He's point guard shooting guard, but he's starting for Miami at 52. Josh Hart is 5,200 for Portland. I kind of like that. I know that's a fully healthy Portland team now, but Josh Hart's a guy that can do a little bit of everything, and 5,200 seems a little bit cheap.
Yeah, and he's going to start.
Yep.
He's not going to be he might be the 4th or 5th option on this team. Right, offensively,
but he rebounds.
But he does everything. He does literally everything. He's one of the best rebounding guards in the league. I know he's slated to start at small forward, so we could just, I guess, say one of the best rebounding wings in the league. Very good in the passing lanes. He averaged over a steal per game last year. He averaged 4 assists as well. And he mentioned, he did have 15 points per game, and yes, he was on bad teams for the most part, but until New Orleans traded him and figured it out themselves. But yeah, I think Josh Hart 5,200 is a very solid play. I think he's going to be a play that you and I go to a lot, quite honestly.
I agree. When we're going even cheaper here, I think this is where, again, some more of these value plays stick out. Devin Vassell at $4,600. I think they're gonna lean on him. He had Kim and Keldon. We'll get to Keldon in a moment too.
I love this.
Probably gonna be one of my favorite plays, I think, Keldon Johnson. But 4,600 for Vassell is really great. I like Bones Highland at 45. I know he's point guard, shooting guard, but this is a good spot for Bones, even with Murray. If you think Murray's going to be limited out of the gate a bit, then obviously Monty Morris isn't there anymore. So Highland is sort of the guy that could... I know they have Ish, right? Do they train for Ish Smith too? But still feels like Bones Highland would be above him on the depth chart. Malik Beasley had started during the preseason. We'll see if he is officially in the starting lineup for this game, but $4,400 for him there is a pretty good spot. So there's definitely some guys down in this range that could pop a bit.
I was saying I loved the Vassell price. Yeah. And I know you've been talking out Vassell forever.
Vassell last year.
All last year, but especially since the Spurs, just kind of, again, they see what's coming. They saw Victor, Pop saw Victor 3 years ago and was like, okay.
Right.
Let's get DeRozan out. let's start the rebuild now. We know what's coming. There's no way that you're starting Trey Jones as like your starting point guard in this league if you don't see the writing on the wall with what's coming next. So yeah, I think Vassell 46 is like cash game type play, just considering what we know about Charlotte. They're going to be a bad team. Last year in pace, and I know it's going to be a little different because there's no LaMelo, but they were 5th in pace, dude. They were 5th in pace. And they were...
This is going to be the stack matchup of the day.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Vassell 46 and Bones, I'm with you in tournaments. I think Vassell is actually a cash game play. I think all formats, and I would say Bones in tournaments 45.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great as well. Any other value guys for you popping up? I mean, again, depending on the starting lineup, like Josh Richardson's at $4,100, right? He could certainly be a play there. Anybody else for you?
I mean, I guess we have to watch what happens in Charlotte. And now I don't know what they're going to do with James Bouknight because he just picked up a DUI recently and none of our business.
Did you see, not to extend the podcast, but if you have a second, go see. He has 8 driving offenses.
Yeah, I did see that.
Multiple DUIs, a few reckless endangerment drives, or just over the last 2 years. Like, I don't know how this man has a license. So that is the main question, right? How does he continuously get back on the road? Yeah, I don't know.
But as of right now, there's no suspension or anything. If he found his way into the starting lineup, he's 3K. That's all I'll say. He's 3K min salary. So if he's in the lineup, James Bouknight 3K could be an option. Just no LaMelo.
Sure. There's no way he's in the lineup. No way he's in the lineup.
Okay, well, just throwing it out there.
Who's probably in the lineup is the Jalen McDaniels.
And Cody Martin. Those are going to be the guys that play like 30 minutes off the bench.
Yeah, is Martin still on that team? I don't even know.
Yeah, I think, Cody Martin's still on the team.
Okay. Yeah, McDaniels probably is the guy that I think could slide in there. Okay. Small forward. Kevin Durant's $10K. DDR's $8,800. Those are the top 2 guys we haven't discussed yet. RJ Barrett's at $74. I won't go too into the weeds of it. Thoughts on the top 2 guys there, Durant and DeRozan?
So Durant is going to see Herb Jones. It depends on how your feelings are on Herb Jones. I think Herb Jones is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league already. I said that to you last year. I thought as soon as I saw Herb Jones, I was like, holy crap, this guy's unbelievable defensively. So like 10K, obviously he's one of the best players in the world. Even if Herb Jones is in his grill, he could score 35 on him, no problem. So Durant's fine. I think DeRozan is going to have a tough time. I think the Bulls, a lot of people don't like the Bulls a lot this year with Lonzo being injured. I think he's going to lead the team, but 8,800, again, you and I talked about this a lot last year. When they're healthy, like when there's 3 of them healthy, it's very hard to get to Vooch at 88 or like DeRozan at 88 and Vooch at like over 8K. And that's not the case on this slate. But like Levine, 82.
Right.
DeRozan, 88.
Plus, it's also against Miami, right? So
and the kicker is Miami. Right.
Yep, I'm with you there. Down a little bit, we said RJ Barrett at 74. That feels like a little high because we don't know like how much of an impact Brunson's going to have. They still have Randall. I still love RJ Barrett, but they tried to trade him. And then they had to sign him. I don't know what he's going to play 40 minutes at least, but I don't know what to do with that one. Scotty Barnes, good for defense. Not a great matchup against Cleveland. Buddy Hield at 61, kind of interesting. They have Duarte obviously still, and then they drafted, how do you pronounce that name there?
Benedict Thuram.
Yeah, they drafted him. Some people are high on him as well.
I'm raising my hand.
Yeah. Me. So I don't know how much Buddy Hield, maybe Buddy Hield is an early season play and end of season he gets phased out a bit or whatnot, but spots to look at. Sadiq Bey, you and I have talked about it. Does he ever break out? Is he even in a spot now to break out? Does he keep drafting more talent around him? Franz, we like Franz, but they also have 9 wings now on that team. They just used the first pick overall on Paolo Banchero, for crying out loud. So where does that leave Franz Wagner? We don't know. So a lot of questions certainly there. Hayward at 58. I mean,
yeah, man. I think that's interesting.
He's healthy.
Dude, oh, we're off the rails. Second podcast of the year. We're talking about so many Charlotte and San Antonio guys.
The only thing that would have been better is if this was against Minnesota for Gordon Hayward. So
true. That's
that's a shout out to those who've been following us for a long time on this show. So yeah, again, we are talking a lot about Charlotte, San Antonio. That just makes me think that a lot of people are talking about Charlotte and San Antonio here as well. So, Mathurin is $5,600. Boy, Michael Porter's at $55. But, that's a good spot. We think, biases aside, who's defending him on that team?
Dude, Laurie?
Olin?
Listen,
Vanderbilt? Who's defending him?
bias aside or not, if he gets 30 minutes at 5,600, he's going to score 25 actual a game.
Did you see what his most recent note was from the last preseason game? He scored 20 points in 22 minutes.
He is an absolute bucket.
I'll stand by my fact that he's better than Luka Doncic if he would just have the time to play.
There's a reason why Denver is being picked by a lot of people to...
They cannot ever have those guys healthy together.
They just can't. They just can't. But look, 5,500 Michael Porter, if there is a note that he is not limited, and you know what? Very well could be. They all could be limited because they all were hurt. Their big three is all hurt. If we get a note that they're limited or not limited, then I think like your Murray call, probably in play. Michael Porter, probably in play. Michael Porter, 5,500? Yeah. Just too cheap. It's just too cheap.
Too cheap. Oubre, though, 5,500, like lock and load. Yep. That spot. I like Lou Dort almost every other night at 5,400, but again, I don't know what to make of this Minnesota team yet. Nope. This could be, Anthony Edwards, if he engages defensively, the man is as athletic as anybody in the league, right? And I think he can be an elite defender if he wants to be. So Dort at 54, probably not now, but in other matchups, I do that for him. Laurie at 53, again, somebody has to score the basketball for him.
He's gonna chalk this year.
Right?
He's chalking this year.
Somebody's got to score. DeAndre Hunter just got the bag at 51. Your boy Cam J is at 5K, starting power forward this year for Phoenix.
Starting alongside, he has to relay the calls into DeAndre Ayton since him and they haven't talked.
I appreciate Chicago already confirming their starting lineup first, by the way.
Yeah, Pat Will going to start power forward. Yeah, they're just like, this is who we're starting this year, and we don't care.
Right, exactly. Jaden McDaniels, my other favorite guy that I have an autographed rookie card of. $4,500. He's going to start. He's going to start at small forward. They already said
a big lineup, dude. That is a scary big lineup.
Yeah. Yep, it's going to be Gobert, Towns,
McDaniels,
Anthony Edwards, and D'Angelo Russell. That is their starting five. So, does McDaniels even take a shot? Probably not. But I love you. We'll always have 2 years ago. We'll always have it. So,
True.
Let's see what else. What other value here?
Herb 42. Herb's gonna play. Herb's gonna play 35 minutes a game. Might play more.
The other McDaniels right there at 4K, the twin brother.
Yeah, if he could look, I think Oubre and Hayward are starting, right? I think both of us agree, but like on the off chance that they're not, and one of these Charlotte guys they're probably in play.
Yep, I agree with you there. I don't have anybody else. Do you?
No, Nasir Little got the bag. If you were to like surprise start over Josh Hart, maybe, but there's nothing else down there. They actually did a pretty, you know what? Not for you, DraftKings. Pretty good job on your pricing here.
Except for Vassell.
But they're gonna
in Keldon's 5,900. But anyways,
okay.
Power forward. Karl-Anthony Towns is power forward center. I can't even be mad at it this year because he is in fact going to play. He actually is going to play power forward. So $9,800 against Poku or Basley. Listen. I know at least Towns is going to shoot. Does he ever get a rebound this year? Does he over under 5.5 rebounds a game for Towns?
5.5. I'll go over 5.5, 6.5. I think probably 7.5-ish.
You think he gets 7.5?
Yeah, somewhere around 7.5.
I guess like when Gobert's not there. The thing is like Towns, how many 3-pointers a game do you think Towns attempts? 8? Didn't he take 7 last year a game? Like he was. So
he took 390 in 81 games. What is the math? Break out the calculator. I don't want to look.
I don't have that math for you. I just know that like my man was out there on the arc just shooting threes last year. So
that is he averaged 4.8 threes per game.
Do you think he doubles that?
I don't think he doubles it, but I agree that he's going to take.
Do you think he takes 7? Do you think he takes 7?
6 or 7? Yeah, I think right? 6 or 7 threes a game. It's just he needs to be more perimeter based for it to work, right? Because Gobert is just not leaving the painted area.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it works. Nobody has any idea.
Nobody does.
Not a freaking.
Not one person. Not a single soul knows. But if Towns' 3-point prop tomorrow is 2.5, I'm taking the over.
1.5, John.
If it's 1.5, that will be the most bet over. It's against the Thunder. There's no way. I got all in prospects right now. They definitely have it. Zion, are you paying $9,100 for Zion here? That's a steep price tag early on.
Yeah, probably not. I think there's going to be a limit. And I know he's not listed on the injury report, but was a little banged up coming into the game. So
they haven't even given us a Towns prop yet. Those SOBs. If it's over 1.5, I will put all of my money on it. Yeah, so that's great. Yeah, I agree with you. 9,100. You could be limited early. It's too much. It's too much. Buckets power forward only at 9K against Chicago.
Crazy. Yeah,
he's a spiteful MFer. You know.
He is, and is he gonna have the dreads in this game too?
No, he cut them off. I think, didn't he?
They weren't even real. They were like fake dreads.
Were they?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, he used it as like his ESPN, right? Used it as
no, it was Yahoo too because we were doing our fantasy draft. These fantasy drafts.
He used the dreads as his photo.
I don't hate it. I don't love it. I think this game is probably one of the worst on the board. I think this could be this could probably be rival Cleveland Toronto, right, for the lowest scoring game of the day.
Yeah, probably. I think so. Good defenses there. Randall against Memphis, meh. I don't know what to do with Randall anymore. Like, I say that. And
it's a good price, dude. That's a good price.
I know.
They're starting. So, Memphis is going to start Santi Aldama. At least that's what's starting. I fully expect. I mean, Brandon Clark just got a bag. So, I expect Brandon Clark to be on the floor a lot.
Here's the thing. Remember how little they used Adams last year in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Now, I know it's because they had Jackson and guys like that, but, like, they could go small this year.
Yeah, but they also used Adams 25 minutes a game regular season. So, yes, I agree. He was completely, like, off the floor when it came to the postseason, but not during...
And I guess they would need Adams if they're throwing out Mitch Robb and Hartenstein all day, right?
Yeah, and there's no Jaren Jackson, too. Like, they had the option to go Jackson at the 5 last year, where I guess they could go Clark at the 5, but...
Then you're playing small ball. So.
Then you're playing small, yeah.
If you want to go Randall on a one-off, that's fine.
It's good, dude. It's a good price.
It's
a good price.
I know. And he fills the stat sheet up. Like,
he's gonna play and he's gonna play all the minutes. We know all the things we know about the Knicks are going to remain what we know about the Knicks as long as Tom Thibodeau is there.
Yeah, no, I just don't like it. Washington's. I wish he was. Why is he priced up? That's unfortunate. $7,100 for PJ Washington. Again, like he should play a lot of minutes. He's gonna start. They don't really have anybody else play power forward for them. With Bridges likely never seeing the floor again, which is unfortunate because he was a guy that I was a big fan of. I don't think I can pay 71 for Washington.
No.
Would you pay 68 for Banchero?
Maybe. Who's Detroit starting at power forward this year? Are they starting Sadiq Bey? They're starting Bojan, dude. It's Bojan and Sadiq. So who's gonna match up against Paolo?
Right.
Yeah, I probably would. He's probably gonna play. He's played a bunch of minutes during the preseason, and he's their guy, dude. He's the guy.
You use the 1 overall pick on him, right?
Yeah, he's the guy. So he's the guy.
Yep, $6,800. I like that. Christian Wood off the bench? $6,700.
It's just, what are we doing? Why is he coming off the bench? Like, he's so good.
He'll come off the bench. He'll play 30 minutes.
He'll still play 30. It's just annoying.
Like, are they really going to give, DeAndre Jordan? Is that who they're starting? No, JaVale McGee, right? Like
they're starting
Yeah, they're not going to give JaVale McGee 25 minutes. So still there against Phoenix.
It just doesn't make it any less frustrating.
I agree. Jabari Smith against Atlanta. Again, Atlanta's going to be good this year. So
yeah, they are going to be good. They are going to definitely be good.
Yeah, but Jabari is another one of those like super athletic. Like that's what Houston's building around right now. Just a bunch of athletic guys that could pop. So if you're game stacking, I don't mind it. I think the kid has some real talent. So
yeah, I mean, he was the number 1 overall pick until he wasn't.
Everybody thought he was going to win, and then he didn't. So yeah, I like it. Keldon though, I've been alluding to it all day. 5,900, like locking in Keldon Johnson.
Yep.
I'm just gonna click the button. I'm just gonna lock him in there. Let's see other power forwards in that range. I mean, Jeremy Grant at 57 is pretty good.
Yep. I mean, I'm a Mobley guy. I guess the thing is gonna be like, what are they gonna do with him? And like, how is he gonna progress offensively? Because like
they're still starting Jared Allen next to him.
I know they're still starting Jared Allen, and like obviously they brought in Mitchell, but dude, 5,900 is such a stupid price.
I know, and Cleveland's gonna have again, as they did all of last year. They're just gonna have so much size on this team too, right? The center for Toronto is
Siakam.
Yeah, they're using,
dude, and they're without Boucher.
I know. Yep.
I mean, like, who's Mobley gonna be guarded by? There's no Otto Porter.
It's gonna be Barnes, or it's gonna be Anunoby, or they have a Precious off the bench. So I know, but we don't. But again, I mean, if you want to take a dart at 59, that's fine. But we were excited about Mobley this year because we thought his offensive game was going to grow, and then they brought in.
They bring in Mitchell. Yeah, I know.
So
I agree.
Oubre 55. We talked about. We like.
Yep. Good price.
Let's see. Poku at 52.
Ready to start.
Bad matchup. He's gonna start. Yeah, just a bad spot for him.
Yep.
Kelly O at 5K. Bad team Kelly O could be a thing. Stretching the floor there.
You called him a league winner in our fantasy draft the other day. So.
Dude.
$1. No, you rode the price up. I bid on him $1 and you said, let me get him for $2. And I said, no, you will not get him for $2, sir.
Yeah, I'll never forget the amount of money that the Houston Rockets Kelly Olynyk won me in DFS. Just
a lot.
Going out there every night, like 25 and 12 with like blocks and steals, and I'm like, who is this guy? And then,
where was this when he was in Boston?
And then what happened was Danny Ainge remembered that. Danny Ainge went to Utah and then immediately traded for Kelly Olynyk. So
look at you.
Yeah, I knew the
connection. Look at you.
I knew the connection was there. So yeah, 5K again. I'm willing to pay the price. He's like your ultimate GPP. The guy can go out there and hit 6 threes, right?
Yep.
Like
or go 0 for 12. It's one or the other, but he definitely can light it up at times.
I agree with you. Max Struss is listed as a power forward.
I know they have no size.
I like Max Struss.
Like the player.
Come off their bench.
Yeah, he plays a lot.
He plays a lot. He's a good player.
So it's funny when you look at the depth charts, right? And like where guys are slated to play, because I see him as a backup shooting guard everywhere.
Right.
And they project Caleb Martin to start at power forward, and I assume like him and Butler are just rover 3-4, right? But there's no like actual position, which they can do. Like in this matchup, it's Patrick Williams starting at 4. He's 6'8", 6'7".
They have an answer to this problem: is they start your 7 at center and play Bam at power forward, but they'll never.
Yeah, it's never happening.
They'll never do it.
Never happening.
It happened for like 2 minutes, and I remember you and I were just like freaking out about like they're doing it. They're doing it. And then
it's literal 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, Spoelstra like immediately subbed your 7. I was like, we're never doing that again. PJ Tucker out there. So
to your point though about Struss, no Oladipo tomorrow, so like that could.
I mean, I know Hero's their first guy off the bench, but like Struss was very much in their rotation last year.
Yeah.
So
I think Hero's starting. I think Hero's starting this year. Duncan Robinson's dead, John. Like Duncan Robinson's
they paid him and then they were like, go away. Right?
He is dead. Like he is buried. He's just gonna keep podcasting and being talked about all the money and staying ready and all that stuff. And he's gonna keep staying ready because he's not gonna get on the floor.
He's not getting on the floor, yeah. He was like Sam Hauser, right? Everyone's excited about Sam Hauser. He played 4 minutes tonight.
Yeah. So I think like Struss, I don't want to say he's the first guy off the bench. He do not have a good bench.
If Hero is starting, he's the first guy off the bench.
They do not have a good bench.
Him and Gabe Vincent and Oladipo.
Yeah, and Oladipo's not playing. So, yeah, I'm in on Struss. Even though it's a very weird position for him that they have him at power forward. But I think it's a good price. And, I'm definitely in there.
McDermott is interesting, too. McDermott annoyed me during the preseason because I played a Vassell point prop. And McDermott was just shooting. Here's the wild card with bad teams is that random players start becoming good because there's no obvious. Keldon Johnson should be the obvious go-to guy, but like after that, like Dougie McBuckets could go out there and start just taking 10 shots a game, right? Like nothing is against that happening here. So they toyed with him in the starting lineup. I don't think he's actually starting. Yeah, I know they toyed with him.
They're gonna go with the rookie.
Yeah,
they're gonna go. So can. Let me look up the correct pronunciation because
we're going to do this all season long. So
I just want to get this correct. He's Polish American, so I'm sure that's
even easier.
That is easier, but nobody's going to enunciate it that. Like no one's pronouncing it that way. Right. So,
but
you know
what? How long is that?
We will.
How long is he going to be out there for? That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So again, if you're on DraftKings, I think McDermott is a sneaky guy early in the season where you play him at $4,500. If he busts on you, all right, like he's not your main lineup guy.
Yep.
But if on a bad team, all of a sudden McDermott goes out there and is taking 12 shots a game, starts knocking down a couple of threes, like then you're 5xing easily, right? At this price point. So this is where I like to kind of take some darts. We've already talked ad nauseum about liking this Charlotte San Antonio. I'm willing to throw some. I mean, McDermott played last year in this rotation when they had better players. So I think McDermott's an interesting guy. I do. especially at that price, and Trust at 44 as well. Also in there. Is Basley starting for OKC?
No, I think they're gonna start Poku.
Who's their?
I think they're gonna start Poku at power forward.
Who's their?
I think they're gonna start Poku at power forward. Robinson Earl. Ugh. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun year. It's gonna be a fun.
It's not good for. That's not good for the Thunder. That's not.
It's gonna be a fun year.
What's his face there? Nurse said that Juancho is gonna play a lot to start the year.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting because they are actually down a bunch of guys. They're down Boucher.
Yep.
They're down Porter.
Yep.
They're down Kem Birch. So
yeah, I remember just seeing that quote because obviously people were tweeting about the Adam Sandler movie that came out where he played the main character in that. So yeah, Nick Nurse says that they're gonna look to rely on him for heavy minutes off the bench to start the year. What does that mean? I don't know, because we know that they also play their starters 40 minutes, but you talked about it. They're missing like 3 or 4 bench rotation guys there. Right. So yeah, just throwing that one out there too. Make sure you obviously, if there's any updated news on that, you check it out, but that was out there. So
Dart MME type play, like if you're building multiple lineups for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And then you mentioned Aldana is going to start. He's there. Zach Collins is 3,900.
Yeah, I think he could be interesting, and I think eventually they're going to trade Jakob Poeltl, or they're going to look to trade Jakob Poeltl, or at some time they're going to limit his minutes because like we just kind of know what he is, right? Jakob Poeltl is Jakob Poeltl at this point. Yeah. So I just was not healthy for 4/5 of last year. So yeah, I think he's going to play moderately in the beginning, and I think he's going to get ramped up once they start those trade rumors with Poeltl.
Yep. Just to go back with the Juancho thing, I found the quote. This is not the Raptors NBA beat reporter Josh Lewenberg. Nick Nurse says Juancho Hernangomez will be a big part of the rotation, especially early in the season with Porter and Boucher banged up. He says they've been managing his minutes in the preseason after a busy summer, but they will need his shooting on the second unit. So
you like to hear it. You love to hear that.
You love to hear confidence a coach is giving a player. So just throwing that one back out there to you. I mentioned, I kind of missed what you said there. I mentioned Collins. You said they're going to trade Jakob Poeltl or potentially look to trade Poeltl. Collins is another guy that recently did sort of like a press thing out there where you guys haven't begun to see what I am capable of doing. And we got glimpses of it last year. I mean, you're just looking at some of these game logs here. 22 minutes, 28 fantasy points. 16 minutes, 20 fantasy points. 25 minutes, 27 fantasy points. 30 minutes, 36, 25, 40. We were playing him last year. Under 4K Zach Collins, I would be willing again. Another San Antonio Spur that we're willing to throw into some lineups here on a big slate.
He's just always hurt. Like, we just have never been able to, like, fully see what he's, like, about because he's always hurt. So I'm okay with it again. Another MME type play, like, not a core play, but in a it's 12 games, large field tournament. The 20 entry that has 40K entries, $4 entry, like something like that, or like the quarter, or the dollar max, 150 max, perfectly fine getting some lineups in with.
Cool. Senator then. We'll finish it out here before we make our lineup. Jokic, the Joker, is at 10-3 against
Olynyk.
Who as center? Right. So, I mean, another night where you have to kind of play the Joker, maybe, or does this game just get so out of hand that he's limited early on? He plays 30 minutes because the game's a 30-point like blowout. So what's the spread on this one? 15?
That's what I was
12?
looking. It's 7.5.
7.5.
7.5. 221 over under. Denver is minus 300 on the money line.
Yeah.
So 7.5 is kind of surprising.
I don't believe it.
I think that's because we're gonna see limitations. I think we're gonna see that's Vegas telling us like, yo, guys, Porter limited, Murray limited, like clear cut. So
yeah,
I don't unless that line moves drastically. Those dudes are limited, but if Jokic is not limited, because I know you mentioned the wrist and there was a wrist issue.
Yeah. If
there's no limit, Jokic is probably the top play of the slate.
Okay. Gobert and Towns Towns is 98. We talked about it in power forward. Gobert's 86, as we mentioned. Robinson, Earl, Poku. Gobert's not going to give you any offense this year, but he could have 15 rebounds in this game and some blocks. I don't want to pay the price, though. Sabonis at 81 is kind of interesting. Tough matchup for him against Nurkic, but I do Sabonis here as a healthy option. Zinger at 78 is fine for me as well. I'm good with that point there. Let's see. Who's center for Brooklyn? Is it Claxton?
Yeah, I think they're going to start Claxton. I think they're going to experiment a lot. I think you might see lineups with like hybrid Durant and Simmons, because I mean Durant's 7'1" and Simmons is 6'10", right?
Sure.
So I could think there's a scenario where they're both on the floor and maybe one's center, but yeah, they're gonna start Claxton at center.
Okay. Any interest in J-Val at 65, or just too much there now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like huge into Jonas. I mean, with Zion, like playing directly next to him.
Yeah.
And what is Jonas on every night? He's gonna be the fourth option, essentially, offensively. So I don't know. I don't think we need to go there.
Okay. Nurkic is at 63, Ayton's at 62, and Turner's at 6K against Washington.
Nurkic is that's a good play. Sacramento.
They're going with Sabonis, right?
Yeah, they're going with Sabonis, which is an undersized front court mate. Like, they do have Rashawn Holmes, but it's not like Rashawn Holmes is athletic, but he wasn't a good defender. We attacked Rashawn Holmes
big
ad nauseum.
Foul guy is Rashawn Holmes.
Foul guy. And like, they might start. Who are they starting at power forward? Harrison Barnes tomorrow with
Barnes,
no Keegan Murray.
Murray's not ready yet, so it's gonna be
KZ Okpala.
Yeah.
Like, guys that Nurkic might run into in the interior. Yeah, I like that price. 8 and 62 is fine. I mean, JaVale McGee is like a player. Christian Wood was on one of the worst defensive teams last year, and
the big Ole guy.
Big Ole guy. Very good offensively. Very bad defensively.
Yes. Miles Turner 6K against Washington. Who's the Wizards center? Oh, it's Porzingis, right?
Yeah, Zinger is going to start center.
No, I don't mind Turner though.
I don't mind it. I think he should be pretty good. I actually think he should be pretty good offensively.
Yeah.
With the losses, I mean, just with the team that they have, like Halliburton, Healed, they're good, and Jalen Smith is good, but I think Miles Turner could take a step forward offensively this year.
Are you in on Sengun against Capella Collins center rotation there?
56 is a pretty good price. Maybe in tournaments, just considering. Yeah, well, I'll stick with tournaments only, I'd say.
Okay. Would you play Clax on the opposite side of that spot?
54 is not bad, not great. Meh, right? Meh. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I like Isaiah Stewart, but they have who's their center? It's not Stewart.
They drafted Stewart's gonna start.
Sure.
But they drafted Jalen Duran.
Right.
So Jalen Duran, incredible on the glass, gonna block shots too. So we'll see what the split is. I suspect Stewart is like the lead dog, at least in the beginning of the year. We'll see the development of his game, because if he doesn't develop from last year, I mean, Jalen Duran's right there. Right. So I think Stewart's okay. I feel a lot of the same way about all these 5K guys. No one really stands out to me. I don't know if anyone stands out, like even below 5K. What is the play? If Bamba starts?
Yeah, actually, I think, let me see. Again, not a good matchup. So 3K, we missed him at shooting guard, small forward, but Thunder first round pick Jalen Williams.
One of the two Jalen Williams that they drafted.
Yeah, but we want the JAL one.
Yeah, the guard.
We want the guard forward. He's 3K.
Really good.
Yeah,
that kid is good.
He was a bucket during the preseason. I saw the other Jay Williams there at center, and I was like, that's not the one I want. I want the other one. So
3K, huh?
Yeah, Jalen Williams at 3K. Listen, that bench is kind of interesting. I want to see what the starting lineup's going to look like. I imagine it's Giddy, Dort, SGA, Poku, and Robinson Earl, you said.
Robinson Earl,
Which means what? Their bench is going to be Jalen Williams, Wiggins, and Trey Mann. Like, those are three guys that just get on the floor to shoot.
And Osman Dang.
Right.
Osman Jang. And Gorgie Jang's brother.
Baisley. Right.
And Baisley, yeah.
Right. So that's a bench unit that's just going to go out there and just play no defense and just chuck. Yep. So, but Jalen Williams is a really good player on a bad team that's probably going to give him opportunity to develop. So, 3K punt there. And I'm sure we'll have more 3K punts as we move along. Let's build our lineup, James, here. Are we going with the Joker? Are we going with Luka? Do you have a different spend up that you like?
I think we both probably... I think center was maybe the weakest position on the board.
Okay. And
I think Jokic.
It was either, for me, it was either going to be playing Nurkic or Jokic, I guess.
Trade partners.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah, let's go Jokic.
Okay. I already have Slate. Keldon put in there, by the way. So Keldon's at power.
Yep, I figured. And then we're going to get, I don't know if we're going to go both Vassell and Keldon. I'm not against it, but I figured we'd go.
I mean, we want a game stack this one, I think, right?
Yeah, maybe we go
Rozier
and Vassell, 46.
Okay. And do you want Hayward or Oubre?
Oubre has really good numbers.
Yeah.
25%, 25.9% usage rate last year without LaMelo Ball, and Miles Bridges led the team.
Yeah.
Slightly ahead of Rozier, and was second in fantasy points per minute too. So I'm okay going with Bray.
Do you want a 3-man stack San Antonio and play Trey Jones? No.
I think the only thing with I guess we like in theory we could, but like, do you think we're limiting ourselves to a 12-game slate in that case?
Possibly. What's the game total on that one? That wasn't 230.
It was, yeah. That game and the Atlanta game were the two highest on the board. 226.
Okay.
So the two highest were Houston, Atlanta 232, and then the Pelicans Brooklyn was 230.5.
Okay. We are at $5,400 or almost $5,500 a player with a point guard utility remaining.
Who are some of the values? Because I don't disagree with the Trey Jones call. I'm just like a little uncomfortable playing free Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Max Struss. He's 4,400. Let's see. Highland is 45. Beasley's 44. The guys that are around 5K range. Josh Hart is 52. Jalen Green was 54. These are guards, by the way, that I'm just kind of rattling off there. Some cheap forwards that we looked at. There really weren't many cheap forwards.
I know, that's what I'm looking at too. There wasn't a lot.
Again, Struss was a cheap forward. Because he's a power forward. He's 4,400.
And is Oubre a guard eligible?
Oubre is not guard eligible.
Well, forward.
So Vassell is guard eligible. So like we could have a guard and forward open. We move Rozier to point guard. Nope, he can't. He's shooting guard only. So
yeah, he's shooting guard only, which stinks.
Yep. So we can move Vassell to guard and Oubre to small forward, or we just keep the guard spot open with a utility.
Yeah, probably just keep the guards. Spot open.
Do you want to do Struss as a punt play at 44?
I'm okay with it.
Right.
I don't think it's like either of our favorite plays, but we were in on Struss. Like we liked Struss. So
I'm gonna move Oubre then the small forward. I'm gonna put Vassell as the guard. I'm gonna put Struss as the forward. That gives us 6K for a point guard and a utility spot.
6K for a point guard and a util. What do you like at point guard? We really like that 7K to like Kevin Porter tier.
We did. I agree with you. Let's see. If we do, do you want to go McCollum at 69? You said that game has the highest
second highest, yeah.
Highest
Houston, Atlanta's number 1, and then New Orleans, Brooklyn's number 2.
What do you trust more there, McCollum or KPJ?
I mean, KPJ probably will have more opportunity, but I think McCollum. I don't think McCollum like cares who's around him. If he's a bucket, like he's gonna take shots if he wants to. So McCollum's probably safer. Porter probably has more upside on his team.
Okay, I Porter now that I think a little bit more of it too. So I'll go that, and we have $5,500 for a util, and that brings us to Michael Porter. Do you want to?
Do you get Porter in the guard spot?
No, he's a utility. Kevin Porter's our point guard.
Yep.
I moved Vassell to guard and Struss to forward and Oubre to small forward.
Okay.
So we have a $5,500 util now. So Michael Porter is $5,500. Jalen Green, if you wanted to just stack the two Houston guards against Atlanta, he's at 54. Lauri Markkanen is 53 if you wanted somebody to come back against Denver.
That's interesting.
This could be a spot for you there.
Dude, he's going to take so many shots.
I'm fine if you want to go Lauri. That works for me.
Do you like that?
No,
what are your thoughts in this tier?
He's going to shoot. He's got to shoot. So
let's do Markkanen.
Okay. All right. So as it stands right now, the lineup that we're not temporarily, the podcast lineup, we have Kevin Porter. We have Terry Rozier. We have Kelly Oubre. We have Keldon Johnson. We have Nikola Jokic, Devin Vassell. We are 2-man stacking or game stacking Charlotte, San Antonio. We have Max Struss at forward, and we have Lauri Markkanen in there at the utility. That gives us $200 to play with if we need to. That is the lineup that we're rolling out with here. James, any parting thoughts for the people at home?
No, I'm just super excited to be back. 12 games is a lot, but we'll get through it together.
And then a 2-game Thursday, and then a big game, another big slate on Friday. So.
And then again, if you guys have any questions about NBA DFS, we did not release a strategy pod before this or anything. So if you have any questions, please get in the Discord. Please ask questions. John and I will be there answering all of them because people have questions all the time. So don't be afraid to ask it. Everyone in Discord is nice except Sticks. He will yell at you. I'm just kidding, Sticks. I know we love you. But yeah, I mean, just make sure you ask questions. Anything Anything you got, we're ready for it and ready to dominate this season, John.
Yep, for sure. If you want to be part of the Fantasy Lineup Nation, again, use our All-Pro. On the screen, you see the promo code NFL50. That works. You can also use promo code NBA50. Go into fantasylineup.com/all-pro. If you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the description. If you're listening to the podcast there on iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you are listening to this podcast, you can go to fantasylineup.com/all-pro. Use promo code NBA50. We'll get you 50% off the first 6 months of the month-to-month package there. And that gets you not only just the NBA DFS content, though, all of NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, massive MMA card this weekend, UFC 280 going on there. NASCAR DFS is out there as well. We're still doing MLB DFS, so all of it is included in our all-pro package there, so it's not just the NBA. NHL also going on. They're rocking it over there as well. But more importantly, you get access to our premium Discord, which is James is alluding to right there. Myself and James are right in that Discord up until roster lock today, answering your lineup questions, getting you guys set to rock out the DFS slate, and we will be in there for tomorrow's slate and every slate there forward. So you got to sign up to join. No better time than now, 50% off the first 6 months using promo code NBA50 or NFL50 to get part of that deal. I'll be on the playbook for Wednesday, so be on the lookout for that one early. James and I will catch you guys later.